Hi, this is Mark Cunningham with the Beacon Center, and I am joined today by our CEO, Justin Owen. Obviously, we are still quarantined. You have a new office in your bedroom there. Is that right?
Yeah, so I had a temporary desk, and I have a whole setup in our extra bedroom now. So my wife works from home every day, so it's been a little bit of a challenge to swap out of the office. So now I have my own office, which
She
I'm
must
good.
hate it too. I feel like people who work from home normally, and then they have other people come in, like they already have the routine. Now you're in the house ruining
Yeah,
everything.
we are part of the problem.
In a lot of ways. Okay, so you wrote a new blog post kind of dealing with the COVID-19 and some of the things that you've seen going on across the country. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions about that for our Facebook audience. So the first one is you talked about the stay-at-home orders that a lot of states have done, and you're against those. So can you explain kind of to our audience why you are against the government issuing stay-at-home orders?
Well, I think the biggest issue is that they're blanket policies. They don't really take into account individual circumstances, right? And so, yeah, if a major urban area needs to go on lockdown more stringently to protect the spread against things like this, then that's understandable. But to do it as a state as a whole, particularly a rural state like Tennessee, just doesn't make any sense. Excuse me.
Yeah, and sorry about the dog. You can see the background so
That's good.
excited up there. Yeah, we only have one little area there, so she just jumped somewhere. I don't know where she's going, but okay. That makes sense. And I guess the question people have, because I think that there are a lot of people who are kind of unsure whether they like to stay from home orders. They think safety is important, but they also don't want to destroy the economy. So how do we balance this idea of safety with kind of the idea that there could be economic destruction if we do the stay-at-home order for a month or 2 months? Where's the balance there?
Well, that's the key is balance. And that's the key in anything. It's just not going too far one way or the other. We should stay at home. We are at Beacon. We're at home, obviously. And any business that can should make its employees work from home so that they can minimize the spread of this. We should have rules and regulations against large groups of people congregating together. That's understandable. But to tell somebody in rural West Tennessee that you have to stay home when your nearest neighbor is a mile and a half away doesn't make a lot of sense. And so we need to allow local communities to make these decisions, not have these statewide or national mandates. And again, the key should not be inside your home. It should be social distancing, be away from other people to minimize the spread. But look at what California is doing. They issue a stay-at-home order. People still get out and work out and exercise and go hiking and walking because they are told they can. And then they clamp down and they shut the state parks because they don't want people being in the state parks. And so it creates a lot of confusion about what you can and cannot do. And it ultimately creates, a lot of anxiety and people going stir crazy because they can't get out and exercise and stay healthy. And so I think rather than emphasize stay under your roof, we should be talking more about how to social distance and how to let the economy continue to work in reasonable ways so that people can continue to do their jobs and not lose their jobs, but while maintaining safe distances during this pandemic.
It is weird that the government kind of picks what they think are necessary services and what aren't. We both like to drink alcohol every once in a while, but that's not, it's hard to say that's a necessary service while this other industry is not. So it feels like that's really not the government's job in the first place to say, oh, this takeout restaurant's necessary, but this furniture store is not.
Well, and the government will ultimately pick winners and losers, and it's not good at that. As you and I know, we talk about that a lot on a regular basis, and it's even worse in a crisis because what's essential to the government or what's non-essential to the government might be very essential to someone's pocketbook or their ability to put food on the table and provide for their family. And so ultimately, the goal should be mitigate and contain this. And to the extent we can do that without harming the economy, we have to think of those long-term, factors. Part of the issue is that public health experts, we should be listening to them. They play a huge role in all this, but they're not thinking about the economic consequences. That's not their job. And so for the politicians and the policymakers, they have to strike that balance and think about the long-term consequences as well as the short-term consequences. And we're not really getting that when you talk about mandatory lockdowns and these extreme measures that have zero consideration of the economic impact.
For sure. And then I guess the last question I have is talk about Governor Lee. How do you feel like he's done in Tennessee so far compared to some of these other governors who've really shut everything down?
I think he's done a good job balancing that. I know he's under tremendous pressure to heed those warnings, but it hasn't necessarily worked in other states. Again, it might work in an area that's densely populated, but it's not sensical for a state that's more rural like Tennessee. And so he has left that up to local communities and let them decide. And I think that is far more reasonable than issuing this blanket lockdown. And he's also taking into account the long-term economic consequences of this while instituting those important public safety measures that do need to be in effect. We understand that. We're not saying we should do nothing and bury our heads in the sand and let the economy go on as planned, but we should make sure that we don't create an environment where people are losing their jobs unnecessarily and becoming unemployed, not being able to provide for their families. And as I ended my blog post with, we shouldn't look back on this with people saying, well, I survived the coronavirus and all it cost me was everything I had.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's a great way to end this. So we're going to put a link to your blog post here. Thanks for spending some time with us and kind of giving people who kind of are only getting one side, maybe from the news, another perspective on what we should do with this shutdown.
It's all about striking a balance.
That's right. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Justin. We will see you soon.
Thanks, Mark.